All right. Good morning, everyone. Today is a great day to be a Michigan Wolverine. We welcome our in-person guests and our virtual guests. And in order to ensure everyone's delight, our Captain of Technology, Ms. Roberta Saul, has devised these meeting guidelines. Number one, this is being run in Zoom format. You will be muted. Please write your questions and comments via chat. Turn your volume to maximum. Some keyboards have an F3 button that controls volume. Headphones often have separate additional volume control. To change the split size on your screen between presentation slides and speaker, please find the small gray bar between the slides and picture and use the mouse to drag it over.
Interrupt, but there's no audio in the Zoom.
Good morning and go blue. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce our next speaker, who will bring greetings from the Alumni Association. Judah Doty is our connection to the Alumni Association. Her official title is Associate Director of Affiliate Programs with the Alumni Association. Her duties are expansive as she and her team work with over 80 groups and affiliates across the country. As the liaison between the Alumni Association and UMAC, she sees us, she hears us. We are happy to have her support. Even though she is away from Ann Arbor today, she still wants to show her support and will bring greetings virtually. I want to wish Judah an early happy birthday. Happy birthday, Judah. Now, please join me in welcoming Judah Doty.
Thank you. Can you all hear me okay in the room?
Oops.
Okay, great. I'm gonna start. I hope everyone can hear me there on campus. But hello, everyone, and welcome to the Alumni Council's Fall Meeting and Athena Award celebration. I'm so glad you're here, whether you're gathered in Ann Arbor or joining virtually. Hi, everyone that's on Zoom right now. Or wherever you call home. It's wonderful to see this inspiring community of Michigan women come together to celebrate, connect, and continue building on our shared legacy. This fall, the university welcomed its largest ever class. We have a total enrollment of more than 53,000 students. That's pretty incredible, right? And so within those numbers are thousands of young women stepping into campus for their first time. They're full of potential, energy, and ideas that will shape our future. And that's where you all come in. The Alumni Council has an extraordinary opportunity to help these women thrive through scholarship, mentorship, and connection. You get to show them the power of being part of a Michigan network that will always have their back. And that network truly stretches from beyond Ann Arbor, Michigan, right? The Michigan woman is everywhere, leading companies, teaching in classrooms, creating art, serving communities, and breaking barriers in places that might have once felt out of reach. The Alumni Council continued to grow their presence, reminding women near and far that they are always a part of something bigger, something stronger. That's also what makes the Athena Award so meaningful. Since 1973, the Council has honored women who have not only excelled in their professions, but who also return to give back, sharing their stories and opening doors for others. It is women helping women, and it's also the heart, the very heart of who the Alumni Council is, who they are, right? Which is why I am so proud to welcome you and today's guest speaker, Athena Award winner Barbara McQuade. Her work and leadership remind us of the impact one woman from Michigan can have and how that impact multiplies when we lift each other up. So as we celebrate that legacy, I also want to acknowledge the role of both the Alumni Council and the Alumni Association. Together, we are bringing forward a mission that has guided this university for generations, building lifelong connections, empowering leaders, and making sure that every Wolverine has a community that believes in them. So thank you all for your passion, your leadership, and your commitment to this work. I am so grateful to welcome you today. And as always, go blue.
Good morning and welcome. I'd like to welcome back our members, current students that are joining us, as well as new members that are with us today or virtually. We have a phenomenal meeting planned today. We will obviously be honoring our Athena Award recipient, Barbara McQuade, who is also our speaker today. We'll have a luncheon and then a business meeting will follow. I have been with the Alumni Council for close to 10 years, which is amazing. I just can't even believe that this is the case. But I was first introduced to the Alumni Council as a resident of Henderson House in 1988 and 1990, which is, I can't believe that it's 36 years ago. And the Board of Governors, who are also part of the Alumni Council, were so inspirational to me at the time. And I remember Joe Runzi and Joyce Tucker, who inspired me, and I made that decision that one day I will come back and I will come and help. I will come and serve on the Board of Governors eventually. And so I followed the way, and I'm back here and now standing here today with all of you. I feel proud to belong to a community of accomplished and successful alumni who are passionately proud to be a Michigan Wolverine. And with each meeting, I leave feeling inspired and blessed to have met so many new members along the way and made so many connections. I will leave you with this. Every day is an opportunity to learn, grow, and be inspired. Invest in yourself today and find your inspiration. Thank you. I will leave it to Big Resolved. next.
Good morning. Good morning. It's great to see you here. So this past year, I served as the chair of the fundraising committee, and it's my honor today to actually give out some money to the Spirit of 1917 Award winners. This award celebrates the women that started the Alumni Council back in 1917 and seeks to provide financial support to initiatives that advance the interests of women in the university community. And this year's awarded group is the University of Michigan Society of Women Engineers. And here's an excerpt from their application. The Society of Women Engineers at U of M is one of the largest student organizations on campus. We have a leadership core of 50 student leaders and over 300 general members. Our members are actively involved in many technical, professional, social, and service events, both on and off campus. Each year, we send a delegation to the national and local conferences to connect with larger SWE organization. We also work closely with SWE chapters in India and Liberia, including a yearly visit to each location. We run a wide variety of events every semester. We engage hundreds of K-12 students, parents, and teachers across the globe in engineering outreach activities. We also host several charity events, including a 5K fun run. Some of you might want to join that. And the engineering games competition. In the fall, we host the biggest career fair on campus and invite over 300 companies to host corporate information sessions that are open to the entire student body. So the project that they applied for funding on is, it reads as follows. The Society of Women Engineers Congressional Outreach Trip seeks to educate collegiate students about change making through legislation and policy. This trip brings 10 members of the Society of Women Engineers, University of Michigan section, to Washington, D.C. to meet with the offices of congressional representatives from our own respective home states and districts. In this experience, we seek to serve the larger engineering community by supporting bills that improve conditions for marginalized communities within the engineering and STEM industries. Through this policy work, we seek to promote further diversity in STEM and encourage our own members to be change makers and advocates through policy. And I'd like you to welcome now our three guests, Madeline, Bella, and Allison, who are here to accept their provide an overview. Tell us some more.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction. And today, we are here just to represent the Society of Women Engineers. We are just three of the leaders in this org, but there are so many of us that we've served, and really this comes to all of us. So today I'm going to tell you a little bit about our congressional outreach trip. But first, hi, my name is Madeline. I'm a member of our executive board, acting as the treasurer, and I'm a chemical engineering student here where I'll actually be graduating this very semester. So can't wait to join you guys as an alumni.
My name is Bella Kalfas, and I'm the Internal Social Officer. I'm a sophomore studying material science engineering, and upon graduation, I hope to go into research on polymers.
And hi, my name is Allison Park. I'm currently a fourth-year undergraduate student majoring in data science and doubling in clarinet performance. I am one of the professional excellence chairs for the Society of Women Engineers. So a big part of that is running professional development events for our members. That includes interview and resume workshops. And most notably, we hold a Women in Leadership conference in March. So I'm really excited to be organizing that. Yeah, so what are our congressional visits days? So this is an annual two-day conference in Washington, D.C., where our members from across the globe, we converse, learn, and educate staffers from Congress on bills improving both the STEM workforce and educational access. We're really excited about the work that engineering students do, and we really want to support women because as minorities, it's really important that we come together and that we are given the support and resources needed to do that. So our hope in these congressional visits days is to make sure that women and minorities are also given the same opportunities.
So how does this trip work? It is a 2-day event where the first one involves teaching and learning from industry representatives, professionals, and government officials, as well as 3 leaders in the national organization. We go to presentations that tell us a little bit about the policies that we're hoping to advocate. And then on day 2, that's where we actually go to Capitol Hill. We meet with staffers in congressional and Senate office, and we tell them stories about the various bills that we're hoping to support. These are some photos from it, but I actually had the pleasure of going on this trip. Here are some photos of it. And how this worked is we met with these staffers and we told them about various bills that were interesting. So for example, one was the STEM restart bill. How many of you may have had to take a break, maybe to raise a family or anything like that for a period of time before entering the workforce? Right? And it can be kind of hard to enter back again if you want to. So the idea of this bill was that we could help, encourage people to, after they've taken a step back, a lot of times this was for mothers, but also maybe you were injured or you just needed time off to restart and re-enter that workforce, as well as the Paycheck Fairness Act. So, being able to see what is the general pay that people are getting at different levels and ensure that, we are receiving fair pay and try to mitigate that 0.8 cents for every dollar that a man makes. So this was really interesting and a really great opportunity. You learn so much, both from other professionals who are at the conference, as well as just from the staffers. And it's a moment where you can just tell stories about why these bills are important to you and how it could impact others. And it's really cool because not all these Senate staffers knew about these bills before entering, and you were able to tell them about it and encourage them to ask you questions and you tell the story. Yeah.
We just really want to thank you all for contributing to this sweet opportunity and giving SWE members an opportunity to share their opinions and voice in Washington, D.C. So thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Oh, wow, large check.
Good morning, everyone. At this time, it's my honor, pleasure, and privilege to introduce to you our guest speaker and our Athena Award recipient for 2025. Barbara McQuade is a professor at the University of Michigan School of Law, where she teaches courses in criminal law, criminal procedure, and national security. She is also a legal analyst for NBC News and MSNBC. She is the author of the New York Times bestseller, Attack from Within, How Disinformation is Sabotaging America, and co-host of the podcast, #SistersInLaw. From 2010 through 2017, Ms. McQuade served as the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Michigan. Her office brought cases involving public corruption, terrorism, white-collar crime, and civil rights violation, among others. Ms. McQuade was appointed by President Barack Obama and was the first woman to serve in her position. During her career, Ms. McQuade has also served as an assistant U.S. attorney, an attorney in private practice, a law clerk to federal district judges, and a sports writer. She is a graduate of the University of Michigan, LSA 1987 and Law 1991. She and her husband have 4 children and live in Ann Arbor. Ms. McQuade has been recognized by the Detroit News with its Michiganian of the Year Award, the Detroit Free Press with its Neil Shine Award for exceptional leadership, and Crane's Detroit Business as one of Detroit's most powerful women. At this time, I bring to you Professor Barbara McQuade.
Well, thank you, Sheila. I appreciate those remarks very much. And I am deeply honored to be here among all of you at the Alumni Council with all the work that you do to support women in education. Because if there is one theme I think that today is all about, is about the importance of education as the ticket for every American to engagement in American society. There was a time when women were excluded from the world of education, and frankly, it was not that long ago. You need only look around this room and the people who are depicted here or not depicted here to remember not only how far we've come, but how far we have yet to go. And that's why it is such a joy to be among people who are lifting up women in education, who are supporting students today, who are still pioneers in their fields as we continue to strive to be the first women to do many things. And I look forward to the day when there are no more firsts. But until then, we have work to do. I wanted to talk today a little bit about my work at the law school, where one of my areas of research is information warfare and disinformation, because I believe it is one of the things that is dividing American society and holding back some of the progress that we as women have enjoyed for most of my lifetime. I think about how far we came from the time I was born in the 1960s to when I graduated from law school in 1991 and the opportunities. And today we live in a world where organizations like the Alumni Council and the Society of Women Engineers are being disbanded on college campuses because of some idea that this is somehow woke and dangerous ideas and divisive. There may come a day when we have perfect equality around the world, when we see faces of women and minorities adorning walls like the ones in this room, but we're not there yet. And until we are, we absolutely need organizations, collective action to lift up groups that have been historically oppressed and left behind and discriminated against. And that's where I see information warfare today being used in American society to divide us instead of allowing us to work together in terms of collective action to lift up everybody's boat. I wrote this book, Attack from Within, about how disinformation is sabotaging America, because I wanted to teach the public the same things I have learned in my work as a federal prosecutor, working in national security cases, and that I teach my students at Michigan Law School. And one of the things that we are seeing is this idea of disinformation. It's a term I learned when I was doing work in national security. It is a strategy designed to attack democracies by exploiting free speech. It is a word that comes from the world of counter-espionage. And there was a time when disinformation campaigns took decades to perform because they had to rely on word of mouth or pamphlets or newspapers to spread false claims. Claims like the CIA started the AIDS crisis. That was one of the false claims that Russia planted in the 1980s. Today, with the use of technology, we see false claims that can spread in an instant and reach millions of people via the internet. And so even though disinformation has been with us from the dawn of time, the methods that we have today through technology make them more acute than ever before. Some people use these terms disinformation and misinformation interchangeably. In my book, I actually use them to describe two separate things. One is disinformation. This is this deliberate use of false claims to elicit an emotional response. It's not just a lie, it's a lie that gets us angry or passionate or excited to advance some agenda, whether it's political or profit or just chaos, nihilism. That's disinformation. Misinformation is its unwitting cousin. Sometimes my children refer to me as misinformation. Very funny. But misinformation is when we read something and we believe it to be true, and we pass it on to other people, thereby amplifying the false claim. Russians have a term for these kinds of people. They call them useful idiots. We hear something, we believe it to be true, and we pass it on. I will tell you about a time when I myself fell for some disinformation, and I became a misinformer. I read on social media that Patrick Mahomes, the NFL quarterback, maybe you know who he is, he's been a Super Bowl MVP, he's on lots of TV ads for State Farm, he's one of the biggest names in the NFL. I read a post on social media that said Patrick Mahomes had issued a statement saying he would not play another down for the Kansas City Chiefs until they changed their name to something that was not offensive to Native Americans. I read that and thought, wow, that is something. This guy makes millions of dollars a game, and he is going to forego all of that to take a stand against this team name, the Kansas City Chiefs. So I had to get out there and share that with the world and say, look at this, Patrick Mahomes, not going to play another down. Way to go, Patrick Mahomes. I had to endorse Patrick Mahomes' statement. Later that day, I asked my husband if he had seen this story, amazing story about Patrick Mahomes, and he said, no, I haven't heard it. And I described the story as, come on, you must have heard this somewhere, I read about it during the course of the day. He said, no, not only have I not heard that story, it sounds kind of fake. And I said, now that I say it out loud, it sounds kind of fake to me too. And it was. I went back online and I thought, man, it sounded real and it looked real. And I found the post, and it was issued on the social media feed of ESPN, legitimate outlet. So I thought that looks pretty good. And it was even on its flagship brand, Sports Center. Then I looked a little closer and I realized it didn't say Sports Center, it said Spots Center. It was a fake, and I had fallen for it hook, line, and sinker. I had become a useful idiot, and so I took it down. I realized later why it is people post that and why it is I fell for it. One of the documents I have my students read in my national security class about information warfare is the report of Robert Mueller into Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election. And it's not for what he did or did not find about the Trump campaign. That was a secondary concern for Robert Mueller. What Robert Mueller was focused on is what Russia did to us. He indicted the Internet Research Agency and a number of operatives working out of Russia to attack American society. And yes, he found that one of their objectives was to elect their preferred candidate, Donald Trump, not because they particularly like Donald Trump, but because they believed his America First agenda would clear the world stage for Russia to destabilize NATO and try to repatriate the former Soviet republics like Ukraine. But that was only one of Russia's objectives. According to Robert Mueller, there were two other objectives. One was to undermine public confidence in fair democratic elections. That certainly has been successful. And the third one, and the one I think was the most successful, was the objective to sow discord in American society. And how did they do that? They did that with things like the Patrick Mahomes post. They did it with things like creating fake accounts on social media designed to look like everybody across the political spectrum. There was Army of Jesus pretending to be a Christian. There was Blacktivists pretending to be a Black political activist. There were the Coal Miners of America, Tennessee GOP, Heart of Texas, American Muslims, all these different groups saying things deliberately designed to stoke anger. And they were incredibly successful. Millions of people saw those social media posts, and it continues. Robert Mueller charged the Internet Research Agency for a number of them, but it didn't stop the problem. In fact, the problem has only become worse. And now, in addition to hostile foreign adversaries like Russia and China who feed this information into American society, we now have American political operatives doing the same. And why does it work? Why did it work on me when I read that Patrick Mahomes post? I went back and I looked at some of the comments back and forth, and that post, that simple, fake, made-up joke, ignited rage from people across the political spectrum. There were some people who said, Patrick Mahomes is a N-word, woke, liberal, such and such. And then there were other people who said, how dare you try to misappropriate Native American tribes? This is just somebody trying to use his platform to stand up. Real people took the bait from that fake post, and it further dug in our entrenchment into our positions and caused us to be angry at our fellow Americans. That's how it works. That's how it worked for me. I posted because I wanted to take sides. I wanted to take a stand. I wanted to endorse this view. It spoke to me because it was disinformation. It wasn't just a false claim. It was a false claim designed to elicit emotions, to advance someone's political agenda, stoking discord in American society. One of the things that we have seen in our politics is this use of disinformation, and I don't care if you are left of Karl Marx or right of Attila the Hun, it's about a process of disinformation. Not so much the what or the who, but the how this is being done. We saw Democrats do this when they said Joe Biden had the acuity to serve as president for another 4 years, despite what our eyes told us when we watched him in that debate. We had a president tell us that the 2020 election was stolen from him, even though 61 out of 61 lawsuits that challenged that election failed, and they found no evidence of a stolen election. It is an equal opportunity problem. But one of the byproducts of this problem is the divisiveness it is causing in our society. We are creating this us versus them narrative, this idea that you must choose to be on the team red or team blue, Republican or Democrat, and as if there is no room for critical, independent thinking in between. This is a debater's trick. It's called the either or fallacy. This idea that there are only two choices in the world, to pin down your opponent as if you have to defend your position and I'm going to defend mine, and there's no room for areas of gray or a third way to look at things. That is a falsity. And I encourage all of us to reject that falsity and to think for ourselves. I see people say the Trump administration's Department of Justice is going after his political enemies and weaponizing the Justice Department, engaging in lawfare by charging Jim Comey and Letitia James and others. And the defense I hear is, yeah, but what about Biden? He did the same thing. Now, I don't know if Biden did the same thing. I tend to disagree with that. But who cares, right? It's as if if you oppose President Trump's conduct in a certain thing, the only defense is you're on Team Biden and Team Biden did it too, therefore anything goes, right? If people point out something that President Biden did that they don't like, I might say, yes, you're right. That was a bad thing. That's terrible. We should not have done that. What about Bill Clinton? He lied about Monica Lewinsky. Yes, that was a bad thing. And so this idea that we're going to group all members of one group to the other, right? All Democrats want to defund the police. All Republicans hate immigrants. It's just not true. But because of the way we use social media, we reduce messages to a simple soundbite. We are overwhelmed by the amount of information in the world. We are allowing people who are choosing to divide us to succeed. And what I urge you to do is to remember the importance of unity and the importance of education to help us overcome this moment. There are ways we can educate ourselves about good media literacy. There are ways we can educate school children, college students, and other adults. We can deliver great lessons on media literacy at our civic organizations, our faith communities, community colleges, public libraries. But we can also educate ourselves. There are a number of strategies we can use when we are consuming information to make sure we're not duped by false claims. I'll share just a couple of them with you right now. One is when you are looking at information that might sound new or surprising to you, you should check the source and make sure it is legitimate. If only I had done that with the Patrick Mahomes post. I would have noticed it said Sprott Center, right? If you get information from the internet, that's fine, as long as it is coming from a legitimate source, like a credible news organization. That's important. I think the other thing that you should do is check second sources. Don't rely on only one source for your news. Have a varied diet, right? In the same way, our diet should consist of proteins and dairy products and green leafy vegetables. Our media diet should be varied as well. We shouldn't focus on just one outlet. If all we ever do is watch Fox News or MSNBC, we might have a view of the world that would be different than if we also looked at other media outlets. I like to look at the BBC, right? How is the rest of the world looking at us? Or local community news, which is really drying up, and I think it's such an important part of building community. So we need to have a varied diet in our consumption of media. And finally, a tip I'll give you is don't rely on that headline in a news story on social media, the internet, or anywhere you see electronically, because today it very rarely resembles the story that it accompanies. Now, I can remember a time when the headline matched the story, right? When we were all growing up, we would see the headline and say, that's a good summary of the story. I can read the headline and kind of get the gist of what it says. That is not true today, because today the headlines serve as clickbait to get you to click on the headline, because that will make you watch an ad, and the ad is the way that news media gets paid these days. So if you are going to rely on this headline, you must click it and you must read it. I will give you an example. This is one of the most egregious ones I saw recently. And the headline said, this is in the New York Times, The Athletic, which is their sports section. It said, behind the Caitlin Clark media meltdown. Right, you all know who Caitlin Clark is. She's this WNBA basketball star. She used to play for the University of Iowa, very good player. And she has been under stress as a newcomer who has gotten a lot of accolades. There's a lot of pressure that comes with that early success. Sometimes she gets that welcome to the WNBA moment with the hard foul and those kinds of things. And so when I saw behind the Caitlin Clark media meltdown, I thought to myself, oh no, the poor thing must have finally cracked under all the pressure. I wonder what happened. So I did click on the story and I read it. And if you would have thought the article was about Caitlin Clark's breakdown, you would be wrong. That's what I thought. You are to be forgiven. But it wasn't Caitlin Clark at all. It was a reporter who had gone on a profanity-laced tirade about Caitlin Clark. So the Caitlin Clark media meltdown was about a reporter who melted down over Caitlin Clark. But anybody who just read that headline would have been very misled about what that story said. So those are just some examples of some of the ways we can use education to overcome this moment in our nation's history. But I'll tell you something else we can do, and that starts with all of us, each of us, and that is to resist the temptation to take sides in this either or fallacy. This idea that we have to be all red or all blue, that we have to favor everything the president is doing, or we have to oppose everything the president is doing. I got a text message from my sister recently who said, you know, and I've been, it is not a surprise of my statements in opposition to some of the things President Trump has done, but my sister sent me a text and said, so are you going to give Trump credit for resolving the war in Israel? Yeah, sure. Yes. It is not an either-or situation, right? We have this idea that people are all villains and all heroes, and not recognizing the complications or the nuances of these things. Yes, of course, there is credit to be done there, but I will also condemn his $300 million ballroom at the White House. There is no inconsistency in that, right? That is nuance. That is critical thinking. That is thinking for myself. That is recognizing that there is a whole world of opinions that we can hold. And I ask you to do the same. And I think one of the things that we see is this idea that
I'm on this team and I have to be loyal to this team. And if I'm not, I will be ostracized from my team. And so I need to say things that are consistent with my team's views. To our students, I say to you, think for yourself, even if it means feeling isolated or lonely from time to time. If you've got a view that is not part of Team Red or Team Blue, you should value that opinion. That is what is the way our country has become great, not by everybody's on the same page, but through compromise and debate and cross-examination of ideas. That is how we advance our country and become a more perfect union. So I'll just leave you with a couple of thoughts. One is the importance of education in overcoming information warfare. And the other is unity, this idea that we have a responsibility to choose truth over our political tribe. Thank you. I'll end there and I'll take some questions. Betty, do we have time for questions or should I wrap up? We don't. Okay. No time for questions, but I'm happy to chat with you afterwards if that's the way it works. But glad to get you back on track.
Before you leave, I'd like to thank Professor McQuade. I call her Barbara because we go back a long ways. We go back long to early 90s. But at this time, I'd like to just say that she is truly a champion for women's rights and equal rights for all. And she has been a trailblazer in her profession and is willing to share her gift of knowledge with everyone. And at this time, as our recipient of the 2025 Athena Award, first I'd like to present you with this medallion, and it's silver.
Wow, amazing.
Additionally, we have a plaque for her, and it's the University of Michigan Alumni Council Athena Award 2025 honoree, attorney Barbara McQuade. Athena, goddess of wisdom, knowledge, wise counsel, patroness of the arts, of industry, protector of the cities, goddess of health and human welfare, teacher of crafts, giver of the olive branch. Thank you for your service to the University of Michigan community.
Thank you so much.
And additionally, we have a goodie bag for her with the new Alumni Council logo on it.
Cool. Okay, again, I want to congratulate Barbara on receiving our Athena Award for the year. And I can now officially say good afternoon, ladies. We do appreciate Barbara's astute observations about the current state of disinformation warfare and its divisive impact on our society. You have truly inspired us to be more critical of how we process and respond to information. We will be serving lunch shortly, and we would like you to join us Saturday, April 11th at the Alumni Center for our spring meeting. Thank you.